What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PixelPlay Podcast, the only podcast where three people are totally here every single week. Hey, my name is Adam, aka CS Radical, joined as always, Chris, aka Chin and Chris, and some other guy here. I can't remember what his name is at this point.
I'm back. You thought you could get rid of me. Thought you could take the king off the throne.
I didn't think I could get rid of you. Your children think they can get rid of you from us. That's not the same thing.
More than ever.
I know people call me a child sometimes, but that's not what I meant. Well, we got a heck of a show for you, and by that I mean nothing, because, well, apparently the Switch 2 is just not going to be affordable for anybody anymore because, well, things happen, pre-orders get taken away, and, you know, we just have nothing else to complain about other than, oh, wait, game prices are going up, so I guess there's some stuff with that too. But yeah, we're going to talk about a lot about just game pricing in general, because that's been a hot topic the last week, because obviously, Nintendo is deciding to be like, yeah, we'll be the first ones to make the thing that people have been dreading us doing for the last, carry the two, multiply that by the last, like, I don't know, like 20 years.
Yeah. Oh.
But
yeah.
Aside from
it's
that,
like financial episode.
Fun little side story. I'm actually not allowed to talk to Jen about video game prices anymore. When they went from like 59 to 69, Jen got so sick and tired of it. She slapped $10 on the table and said, "Don't ever talk about this again."
Oh, anytime I complain, I get a slap, but it's not like with money on it.
so what you have to do now is you have to go there and be like, I need another.
No, I didn't realize that $10 was supposed to carry me for the rest of my gaming like life.
I need another 63 of those.
But aside from all of that, for the time being, how are you guys doing, Kaylan? How much sleep you get last night? Let's start with there. That'll really tell us the story.
It's been a couple weeks. Dealing with dad life and stuff. I'm squeezing and playing as much gaming as I can. I was naive in thinking I was going to play some video games while on my trip. Didn't happen. But yeah, I got the Mario 3D World, Super Mario 3D World or whatever. Started playing that. Super cool. I got my son a copy of Yoshi's Woolly World, or Craft World.
Oh, yeah.
It's called. Yeah. It's been good. He's liking it. My Jen is way more into it than he is. He was sick today from school, and he's been asking me to play with him, right? And I want to play video games with him, but problem is that he's struggling, right? He doesn't know what to do. He keeps just walking into the bad guys. He's dying a lot, so he's like, "Dad, can you do this for me? Dad, can you do this for me?" And I gotta say to him, like, no, you gotta learn yourself. Like, when I was a kid and I needed help, like, Papa Catastrophe was just like, "What the hell's a video game? Go outside." So I feel like, it's not fair for me that I do it for him. So I left today to go to work while Jen was home with him sick, and she's been playing the game for him the last couple of days, and she's like, "This game is awesome." And I was like, okay, so our kid has had no time to actually play this. So,
Oh, that's funny.
I mean, on the flip side,
Yeah.
it's slowly seeping into her. She's slowly converting.
oh, she's always been a gamer. Like, she's just one of those ones where she will not pick up a video game for months, if not years. But when she gets in, she is in hard, and like, she will game more than me. Once she finds a game that she likes, she will play 7-8 hours straight at a time for like a short period of time and then be done. Whereas I will play a little bit every day, and that's kind of like the difference between the two of us and how we play. And so this one, I think, is getting the hooks in her, and I think we've got another case of Uncharted on our hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I still miss the days of Jenny Bezos, but
Oh yeah, Jenny Bezos. We miss those days. I was thinking about it. I was playing Avowed, and I said to her, I said, "This is probably more of a game for you than Skyrim," because, Chris, I don't know if you remember when Jen was playing Skyrim, and her whole objective was not to fight dragons or solve quests, but rather just to pick up everything and put it in her homestead. She was the true hoarder, and I was explaining to her, I'm like, this game is awesome because if you get over encumbered, you can just press a button and move everything into your stash. And she just was like, "What?" And I can never let her play Avowed.
it's like I'll never get my Xbox back.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no, that's all she'll do. And it's like more pretty and stuff too, right? Like, It's not as
It's a much
dreary
more
as Skyrim.
visually charming game too.
Yeah, so she'd be like, "This is so pretty. I can go collect stuff." Yeah, I can see how that would be the downfall of your Xbox controller ever being allowed back in your hands.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
been playing a lot of games with my kids. Been playing a little bit of Avowed when I get the chance. A little bit of Mario, a little bit of here and there. Excited to get my hands on Assassin's Creed. Excited to get my hands on Doom when that comes out next month. Like, there's a ton of stuff coming out, and I have no time to play it. I thought Avowed was supposed to be short. That's a big lie.
I'm sure it can be if you just like beeline the stuff, but like it's too easy to
Why would you
also
wanna
do
do
That's not how you're supposed to play it. That's not the spirit.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I tried both of those options with Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I learned the best way to play it is to not.
Oh man, is that how you feel about Shadows? Because that makes me very excited.
Oh yeah,
no.
Like between what me and Chris talked about it last week, you're going to fucking love it. I just can't stand it because I do not need to play a Ubisoft open world game anymore.
There's a small update that might help you, Adam. They updated it now that when it puts the path on the map or whatever, when you're on the horse, it'll auto ride the horse to your objective.
Cool, so I can just not play the game at all.
I mean, that's kind of what you want, isn't it? They're trying to give you what you want.
I just don't want to spend 5 minutes staring at forestation while I wait to go do a simple mission that takes 10 seconds of combat.
If it played Final Fantasy music when you're on the horse, would that help?
That's why Final Fantasy 14 or 15 worked. Until it didn't, because the story sucks.
Until it didn't. Until it didn't.
But Chris, what have you been up to?
Gaming wise, I haven't been playing much. A little bit of Avowed, a little bit of The Last of Us Part 2, a little bit of Assassin's Creed Shadows. But I would say the biggest gaming thing I did this week is I actually built a PC yesterday. I caved and bought some part. Yes. Yeah. I nerded out hard. Posted a couple pictures in our Discord. So, if you're a PC enthusiast, join our Discord because sometimes we'll do things like that. I also there was a couple reasons for it. One is actually Adam's fault. So there you go. He's not just
I would do no such thing. What are you talking about?
Adam was sending me this is my dream PC, and sent me the website PC Part Picker where you can pick parts and actually build the PC. It'll tell you if it's all compatible, which is very helpful, and where you can get it at the cheapest price. But also you can just see if I was to build my dream PC, how much it would cost, and it's $4,000. That's great. So Adam, as soon as he sent me he wants to build a PC in that website, I started playing in it, and that was one downfall.
Skip the website.
Yeah, and then another friend, Ed, sent me was kind of no man, you should build one here. What are you looking for price wise and stuff like that? Because I didn't want to spend a lot. And he started pricing it out, and all of a sudden, it was. I mean, it's more expensive than consoles, but $1,500 all in to build the full brand new PC, not exchange, just out some parts, which was decent. It's more powerful than a PS5 Pro and all that, and not that much more expensive. I mean, it is, but another reason though, and probably the biggest one, is I had a gaming laptop before. I still have it. I'm gonna keep it and everything and use it. But I noticed, unfortunately, it was starting, as gaming laptops do, a lot faster than desktop computers. The heat starts to get to it. It starts to not run as good. I probably would have needed to open it up and start applying new thermal paste to the CPU and all the different PC things. But you can kind of tell with laptops when they start to, slow, throttle and get too hot, and they're just not doing what they're supposed to anymore as much. And I was like, crap, I'm going to need to upgrade. And the thing I said, probably just to convince myself to finally do it, was admit that, or say that with how prices are going lately, which is obviously what is going to tie into today's episode, maybe I should do it now, because if prices are bad, they can probably more get worse than they will get better.
Wow. Can we stop for a second and appreciate that sentence that you just said?
Yeah.
I think so articulate on this podcast.
Yeah.
Price good, no. Get better, yes, maybe, no. Buy now.
Yeah, just buy now. That was the thought process. It's not great now, but it's probably going to get worse, so I might as well just do it now. And cut my losses in air quotes there. I don't know. I don't know. It was a lot of emotions, but also just, I know I've got the podcast and it's like, I should probably have a computer that works if I'm going to stay on that podcast. I like gaming and I don't know. A lot of things just like pushed me to like, all right, you know what? I got to do this. Cause I also started to realize, wow, this laptop has been great, but I'm at the mercy of it. If it just kind of dies, it's not like a normal computer where it's like, oh shoot, the hard drive's no good. I'll buy a new hard drive, open it, put the new hard drive in and off I go. It's not like that. It's just like, oh, it's dead now. And I have nothing. So I really wanted to get back into a desktop. For specs for anybody listening who would care about that, I went, I guess, mid-tier. I didn't go with anything new, too expensive. I went for the CPU. It's an AMD Ryzen 5 7600. And for the GPU, it is a AMD Radeon 7800 XT. Still decent, still good. I saw videos where it's like it's the most comparable to the PS5 Pro, like the GPU, with doing things to it because nothing is the exact same. It's kind of like you got to downclock it to make it not as powerful, but then also the PlayStation doesn't have to run things like Windows, so it still keeps the same power as, I don't know. There's so many different things going on there, but basically I built something that would be probably a bit better than a PS5 Pro. Didn't want to go anything new because I'm not paying that. I did build what would be new, and what is new is over $3,000 all in, and will not be worth that in a couple years when it's like, oh, this is no good anymore. I should probably change this one part. But yeah, like one of the biggest reasons was I don't have an actual PC. I only have a laptop, which would be still great for podcasting and stuff. Don't get me wrong, but if I could just switch back over to actually having a regular PC going forward, I won't have to do the big crazy build. It will be like, all right, I need a new graphics card. Buy that, put it in. It's new again. Unlike having to start from scratch. Yeah, which has been interesting because I haven't had a PC tower since 2017 when I met my now wife and I moved in with her. It was her place and it was a small condo. And I only had a PC. I didn't have console at the time. So kind of brought in this PC tower and put it in the living room and connected it to the TV because we didn't have even enough room for a desk. And she said, if I do not figure out that situation, our relationship will not be continuing. So I built a new PC, but in like a little case that looked like a VCR, like just a little black box that's probably closest to an Xbox One in its look. Had that for a while. Then I built like this other little small form factor thing where it actually looked like a toaster. And it's because I always had to keep it small because of the space. But now that I'm actually in a place where under the desk, I can just have a normal computer that's quiet and not overheating and just sitting there and everything's fine. It's just much better for everything. Yeah. So that's what I did. And Adam, I appreciate that the video footage was PC Builder.
I got you, bro.
I was like, I wonder if I should have sent Adam like pictures or something. Like, what's he going to put on the screen? Never mind. There's a game that perfectly describes what I did.
I'm too quick on the trigger. You don't got to worry, man.
Juicer extraordinaire over there.
Yeah. All right, Adam. What'd you play?
Well, originally I was going to say not much because I was trying a few different things here and there and just nothing was sticking. Obviously, Assassin's Creed Shadows, I still just haven't gotten around to. Thankfully, something did come out that I can actually, take a crack at, and so far, so good. So I've given a shot to South of Midnight, and I gotta tell you, like, the combat isn't great. Like, it's pretty mid. Everything else is fucking awesome. Like, graphically,
it looked very charming.
Stunning game. Fucking stunning. Voice acting, fucking solid. Story, I haven't gotten far enough in. Like, I'm only, 2 hours in, but, I'm not hating it. I'm not completely disengaged from it. And just the overall vibe of it, just again, just that stop motion, sort of Coraline level movie graphics and stuff. It's such a great change of pace. And I honestly the combat is my least favorite part about it, but everything else is doing really well. Even just traversing the world, I actually enjoy quite a bit. It's kind of got that, sort of, I guess what we associate with most third-person adventure games, like your Unported, your Last of Us, your Horizons. They all kind of have similar vibes to it, and it works very well. I like the platforming instances of it. It can be a little off with some pieces. Trying to climb tree limbs can be a little difficult because sometimes the platform the guards that it kind of sets up, sometimes you'll kind of slip off it a little bit, but it is what it is. It's not a big deal. It's not like a deal breaker or anything. But it's really just like, again, 2 hours in, you're not going to get too deep into it to really understand what it's going to show altogether. But like, it looks absolutely amazing. It sound like I'm actually got proper headphones now, and it's in the surround sound settings. It does like atmospheric. It sounds fantastic, especially with all the wildlife in the background too. It really well. The music also fits great. Like just having this, sort of southern drawl, level like guitar, like chill music in the background, very bluesy kind of vibes. Like everything just fits really well. And I'm just hoping that with the gameplay being like okay, that I can kind of keep past it. And so far, it's more than doing that. Like I'm very happy with what I've gotten so far. I love Hazel. She's a fantastic lead character. I was actually worried in the early stage. I'm like, oh great, is this another oh my god, what was that really bad Square Enix game?
Forspoken?
Thank you.
Forspoken?
I thought it was gonna be like, oh, is this gonna be another like girl that's just gonna be a bitch all the time? No, not even remotely close to that. We're completely fine. So yeah, like I'm still really early into it, but I'm genuinely surprised in how much I am enjoying it right now. And I'm just hoping that as I unlock more abilities that the combat gets a little bit better. Because I will say right now, like, especially when there's multiple enemies in the field, I get really annoyed at it because there's just too much going on and there's not enough telltale signs. Like I'm just hitting the dodge button repeatedly just because I think it's the only way to dodge everything. It's not nearly as obvious as some tells are. And look, I'm not playing a Souls game with this, so I don't really need to have to spend hours studying moves here. It should be pretty straightforward. So it could just be, once I start putting a little more time into it, that it gets a little bit easier. But I think it's just a case of I just need to adjust to the system a little bit more, get some more abilities, and then it'll start to really open things up for me. But otherwise, like I adore how this game is elsewhere. Like it's just I can't stop saying enough how fucking stunning it is to stare at.
Wow. Question, did you leave the setting where the characters move at like different frame rates where it's like
Yes.
16 frames per second and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, there is the option if you just wanted to have it run smoothly like a normal game would. Absolutely fucking not. It's like when you play Spider-Man and you have to put the Spider-Verse costume on just to play it like that for a bit. You gotta. Because it's so different looking. And obviously it doesn't really affect how you play because it's the input still playing the exact way you would expect it to, so.
Yeah, the game is actually still running at 60 FPS, yeah.
Yeah.
My question to you, Adam, like, what would this game like translate to? Like, because I'm looking at it and it's like kind of giving me like Kena Bridge of Spirits kind of vibes. Is that like what would be like the closest to, or like what game do you think that this like
yeah,
like close resembles to?
Kind of like that. I would say like I'm trying to think of what even comparatives there would be to it, because it's kind of got.
It's fine if there's not.
It's kind of got like your core like third-person beat-em-up gameplay, kind of like similar to Spider-Man, just without all the extra bells and whistles that it has. It's just really like straightforward attack, couple of abilities, dodge when you need to. Like it's still so early that I don't really know like everything that I have. Like the abilities that I have so far is just what the story's given me. One of them is essentially if you want to go the Spider-Man route, it's a web that just locks them in place for a second while you get to do some damage. Another's a push and another's a pull, and that's really what I have right now. So I don't have anything like too over the top. I don't know if there's anything too crazy coming down the line. But the only annoying thing is that like you can, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you see that every time there's an enemy, you have to unravel it to kill it. I'm just like, dude, like, I understand for these last things to do it, but, like, it's an enemy. I've already bashed it enough times. Like, don't waste my time having to unravel it to finish it off when there's other enemies around. Like, I'd rather it just be, you killed the enemy, thank you, move on to the next one. So it kind of just, like, is a momentary pause. Now, the reason they do it, especially if you're playing on normal, because easy and story only have these health bars you can pick up during the fights. But what that does is it gives you health and reset some of your ability like and stuff, to which I still go, you could still have done that if you just killed the enemy and they just litter on the ground. I feel like there's a better way of doing it, but that's like it's why, like, again, the combat's my one complaint, but everything else is fine.
Yeah, I wonder if they have that there for some like sort of behind the scenes, buffering, loading magic of gaming, right?
It could, it could also just be the theme of it being you're a weaver, so unraveling things is what makes sense for as a character. So it could just be a design choice that they made based on what they're doing with it. But either way, it's still such a minor complaint at this point, and it probably is something that will get settled more once I have some more abilities and I get more accustomed to the system.
Yeah. I just looked this up real quick on how long to beat, and I'll tell you one thing I appreciate. This is one of those like main story 9 hours, completionist 15 hours.
Yeah, like
I like
for
that.
the 2 hours that I played, there's not really collectibles or anything. It's just if you explore the map just a little bit extra, you'll get more ability points faster. That's really all it is. And they're not like massive maps either. It's very much, you know, what we like in level designs from games like Uncharted and Last of Us and such like that, where it's linear to a point with a little bit of open ground to kind of move around in, but you're still going in a very specific path. You're not just able to go in any other direction and mess with stuff. So at least you know that when you're in an area, you're not going to miss too much if you just take the extra second to just kind of make sure you're checking every corner. It's definitely not one of those, at least at this point, that feels like you're going to be wasting time doing collectibles.
I'm gonna be honest, Xbox lately totally crushing it. Like they are.
I mean, this is one of the ones I was the least interested in. If that's what this one is, I'm excited for Doom and Expedition 33 and shit. So
that's what I'm saying. Like Avowed was a banger.
I'm just not excited for
Jones
Ninja Gaiden because
like,
it's still going to kick my ass and I won't care. But hey.
I'm just saying, like, we all kind of like South of Midnight was not one of the top ones. And if that one's even a bit of a hit, like.
Yeah, like, I mean, and the reviews have kind of echoed what I've said anyway, is that very mid combat and everything else is just really, really, really good. So I'm impressed from that point that they were able to make the design choices that they made work really, really well. It's just I'm praying that the combat gets at least a little more manageable as it goes on, because I'm not enjoying it nearly as much. I almost kind of dread seeing a combat zone coming up.
Well, to be fair, even if it doesn't get better, you're 2 hours in of a 9-hour game, so you're like a quarter of the way done.
Yeah, it's not going to be a Dragon Age Veilguard situation with me.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Well, oh my god.
No.
Well, we can't get a Switch 2 right now because, you know, tariffs. Hot take, are bad. But, you know, slow clap from somebody for the bravery that it took me to say that. But because of the tariffs, obviously it's further the conversation of what pricing's looking like. Because now, like, we know the Switch is $499 US, $629 Canadian. But is that actually what it's going to be? Not to mention, you know, obviously games being what they are too, because the expectation is that most major first-party Nintendo games are now going to be an extra $10 on top of what it used to be, which for us could mean almost $100. So there's definitely a conversation to be had. A lot of people are very upset about this, though, which is the one thing that I've seen over the last week, is that a lot of people do not like this. I mean, there's reasons on both sides, but obviously this is what we're here to talk about. So Chris in the Discord was saying, I might have a rant for the first time in ages. So as someone who is used to seeing Captain Fence Sitter over here literally sit and wait for Kaylan and I to bicker for the last 20 minutes, I want to start with him and see what he's got to say.
I felt like seeing comments and stuff on Reddit and stuff, like I was just this guy like kicking open a door to like yell at people. It was pretty intense.
Because I have a feeling by the sounds of that, we both might have a similar outlook on this, but we'll see.
Yeah. Have you ever had an argument with somebody, like you're taking a shower and you're mad about something and you almost like have the argument with them like in your head while you're showering? It's called
about most of my day when I'm alone, because I constantly argue with my own thoughts.
No, yeah, you're the jerk face.
Yeah, but I wasn't arguing with my thoughts. I was arguing with people on the internet, I guess, but in my head.
Well, yeah, my thoughts pretend to be somebody else and argue with them.
Yeah. Oh, so like I had mentioned even when we were going to talk about this, like, you know, breaking apart the hardware and the software side of it, because I think that the two of them aren't the exact same situation. If you take the hardware, for example, I've seen a lot of people saying it's way too expensive, that Nintendo's gouging prices. I've seen a lot of that kind of stuff, right? And to be completely fair, I was guilty of this with the PS5 Pro. When they announced the price for the PS5 Pro, I was like, this is ridiculous, price gouging, blah, 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 blah. And I fully admit that I was one of those people for just an immediate knee-jerk reaction, not my overall.
Then Chris bought a $1,500 laptop and said, no, that makes sense. That checks out.
No, you're not wrong. No, I already had accepted no, actually the pricing and everything. But that does feed into it very, very much. Because here's the thing. First, I get like taking the Canadian dollar out of it. That's one huge reason that if you have the 450 US console and it's 630 in Canada, and people are like, what the hell? Why is it state like that's just the Canadian dollar? That's called exchange rates. That happens all the time. And if the exchange rate changes that much with our dollar and its value, then probably the price would be updated in retail stores or something, hopefully. But still, like that's the reason that is. So if you're worried about different countries, that's what's going on there. So for the purpose of my rant, I will focus on the 450 US price because that's what most people are probably thinking about. First, Nintendo even came out and said that tariffs weren't the reason for the price. Maybe it was a little bit of a factor. You know, I'm not sure I 100% believe them, but I truly don't even believe that the 450 US price is because of the tariffs. When you think about first, the Switch 1 is 8 years old. That was 8 years ago. So if it was like, I think it was $300 at launch or something around there, and then now it's 450, yeah, that's an increase of 50%. That's a lot, but over 8 years. And we have seen the cost of everything go up astronomically over that time.
Not to mention that they're pushing a much heavier hardware this time.
And that's the other part of it. Because really, there's two parts of this. One, inflation sucks and it exists. And as much as we want to be mad at it, unfortunately, inflation has been a real bitch the last little while, especially since basically the pandemic and all that kind of stuff, right? The cost of parts is that expensive. Take the computer I just built. Normally, a computer, like, 'cause that's a mid-tier computer. It is not, you know, the powerhouse that, you know, I'd go on Reddit and be like, look at the powerhouse I made. Because people would be like, what are you doing
I'm getting cancer from the glow of the light.
Yeah, no, that is not. I built a very mid-tier PC that's like better than consoles that are 5 years old, obviously, but nowhere near what even Adam you were building and showing me with your build. And that was still $1,500. Mid-tier computers used to be like 700, 800. Like it would be slightly more than a console and a little bit more powerful or whatever. But the prices have gone up that much since the last PC build I did, which was 2017 for the most part.
Yeah, like I remember when I made my laptop for broadcasting college, I literally went to, if anybody knows this brand, Origin PC. Not the EA Origin, but it's a PC brand that does custom stuff. And I got a laptop that was essentially as top of the line as you could get because I knew I was going to be doing video editing. I wanted to make sure I had the best card I could get. And that thing cost me just over $2,000 Canadian. If I wanted to get the top of the line PC now on a desktop, it'd be triple that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you're going like Origin PC and stuff, yeah, triple. At least. And it's not like that was that long ago. What was that, like 15 or whatever years ago it is? It's like
the laptop is maybe 11 years old now.
Yeah. So there you go. Like it's triple, but in a much shorter time that you'd expect inflation and stuff to go at that price. If all of these parts are more expensive for us, they're obviously more expensive for Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, whoever it is that's building this stuff, right? So that's the first thing. It's more expensive. That's what parts cost now. That's why and I'm throwing this out there, the PS5 Pro is reasonably priced for what's in there. I've looked into what's in there, and it is like a lot more. Okay, when I say reasonably priced, what I mean is I fucking hate the price. I don't like what's happened, but now it makes sense.
Based on what the market is for things.
Based on the market, I get what's happened here. And it's not like one company being like, I can do this because I'm the best. Could Sony have taken a higher cut to get it out there? For sure. Like all of that kind of stuff. But parts are more expensive, so these things are more expensive. The other thing, when it comes to the Switch specifically, is everybody's been bitching about Nintendo becoming more current gen. Like when the Switch 1 released, people were amazed that it was a handheld. They were amazed that it could do handheld and be docked. Nobody was amazed at the graphics. It was still just like, oh, it's a Nintendo console, but instead of it being like, I have to choose between the 3DS or the Wii U, I have the same thing in one. I can play it here and then put it in the dock and continue my game and then pick it up and leave the house with it. Everybody was amazed at the form factor and that kind of stuff.
This is pre-Steam Deck too.
Yes, and it was the first handheld that's well, not the first handheld, but the first hybrid handheld that's caused a whole wave of everybody in the industry being like, "We got to get in on this." Um, but it wasn't a powerhouse. It was released, and it was already like I think an Xbox 360, maybe. Like it was
Yeah, like
underpowered.
it wasn't designed to be power. It was designed to be the gimmick that it was because it was really the first of its kind.
Exactly. And everybody has always complained, Nintendo, where's your gamer PC that can do 4K 60? Blah, 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 blah. Hey, now there's PC handhelds. No one...
Or at least,
do
you have a console
Switch.
that can play games that were not made in 1875?
Or the... Yeah. There's the Hanafuna or whatever cards. That's basically all you're playing.
Yeah.
But the actual tech now is not only more expensive, Nintendo actually put basic current gen tech. Is it high end? No, but it's like actual current gen tech in there. It is like going through all the specs, and I've like watched Digital Foundry and all that. The people I trust to like give this kind of stuff. Nobody knows fully what's in there yet. Nvidia's put out a statement that it's 10 times more powerful than the Switch, and Digital Foundry was like, yeah, maybe 5 to 6 times. There's no way this is 10. We've seen like the footage. We've done our analysis. But the thing is that they've done their analysis, and it is basically either the same or slightly better than a Steam Deck, which is a gaming PC. And that's in power, not in like functionality or anything like that. Even if the Steam Deck, could like, oh, well, you can tweak settings and make it run a little bit better than the Switch comes pre-packaged with a dock that as soon as you put it in there, the thing overclocks itself and has built-in cooling in the dock to keep it cool. Like it's a PC tech. Or a PC strategy, basically, that they're kind of using here. Even the Steam Deck, if you dock that thing, it doesn't get any more power or any more cooling. It's like what it is now connected to a USB-C hub that has an HDMI cable, and it'll go there. The Switch, that's why if you look at Metroid Prime 4 or something, it's running, as Digital Foundry had seen, 4K 60 when docked. It's not upscaled. There's no FSR. Well, it wouldn't have FSR. It would have DLSS. It is just native 4K 60. Now, is it a game designed specifically for the Switch? There's no like Windows stuff they got to deal with, and we got to make it run on all these other consoles and all these other PCs. No, it's designed for it. But Nintendo put out its first 4K machine, which everybody was asking for. And then there's people that are like, well, that's not next gen. That's actually even just last gen, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but the actual Switch itself is a 1080p 120 hertz screen. That is the screen of an ROG Ally. So it has the power of a Steam Deck and the screen of an ROG Ally, which are the two most common and like up-to-date handhelds that are on the market. So if you want to buy a Steam Deck, the cheapest one, which is not an OLED screen, it's the LCD screen. That's 256 of hard drive, the same
can't dock,
exact
and cool
same
itself,
and can't dock and cool itself, and doesn't come with the dock. That's another big thing. It is $50 cheaper than the Switch 2. So when you look at something that's the same power with the same screen being LCD in the sense of just that, and storage 256 in there with no dock, it's $50 cheaper. I'm sure if Steam bundled in the dock, it would be the exact same price as the actual Switch 2. But the Steam Deck, that would be an LCD screen that is only 60 hertz and 800p. So now you get a better screen and 120 hertz, which is the ROG Ally. And people are like, well, the ROG Ally is better. Well, yeah, but the ROG Ally is like $800 in Canada. So in the States, I think it's like $600 something maybe. I haven't seen the price in a while, but it's not $450. It's much higher. Now, it's more powerful than that. That one will probably be more powerful than the Switch 2, but it has the same screen that it's pushed.
It's kind of like your frame of reference of like what the high end is, really.
Exactly. So yeah, an ROG Ally is more powerful, but it's also a fair bit more expensive by like $150. It should be more powerful, or else why are you buying the thing? And then the Steam Deck is like $50 cheaper, and it kind of gives you that like perfect, like, yeah, it's in the middle, but comes with a dock that actually helps overclock the system, which most of the other PC handhelds can't even really do. You'd have to buy a special dock that's willing to like blow extra air and stuff in there. So you have, according to PC handhelds, not even like a PlayStation handheld or an Xbox one, you have a PC handheld that can do up to 1080p and 120 hertz, and it does. And it's like, yeah, of course this is going to be more expensive. This is what everybody wanted. So you can't have it where it's $300, the cheap Nintendo toy that the Switch one kind of is, and have that price, but also have the more pro gamer console when it comes to the price. So for me, when it comes to the hardware cost, it sucks. I hate it. I don't like where prices have gone. But unfortunately, if you look at inflation and the actual tech they put in there, you end up with $450 and it's like priced as is. Like that's how much it would cost. So yeah, that's my little rant. And by little, I don't know how long we've been here. I blacked out. What happened?
Everyone clap for the fence man for actually taking a side.
He came down from the fence.
Anyway, so the reason I'm also on the other side of the fence.
What are your thoughts, Kaylan?
I get what you're saying. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, I don't disagree in the sense that, like, yeah, inflation has gone up. The specs are there, are cool. Like, the price is justified, right? Like, it's not unheard of to have a console in that $600 price range in Canada. I disagree with you, though. I think Nintendo is making a colossal mistake with this, $450, $600 price point for a Nintendo Switch, because I think they're forgetting what their what their niche is, what their market is, who their market is. I'm not looking for a Nintendo as my primary console, right? Like, if I want to play the best looking games on my like big screen TV and stuff, I'm not going to Switch. I'm going to PlayStation and I'm going to Xbox. And unfortunately, with this pricing, they've put themselves in that competition where it's for the same price as a PlayStation, as a Nintendo Switch 2. I can get a PS5. I can get an Xbox Series X, right? And that is the cutting edge thing. The best thing that Nintendo could say is, hey, we've caught up to what the PlayStation 5 is. But the PlayStation 5 is halfway through its life cycle. Xbox has already kind of given up on this console and they're already looking at the next one. So I think they're kind of like trying to get into, as you said, like the pro gamer space, like the big kid gamer area. And I don't see a lot of, 20 to 40-year-old gamers who are like, man, can't wait for my Nintendo Switch 2 to become my primary console. No. Nintendo, I think, has been always like, hey, I buy Nintendo so I can play the cool Nintendo games and indie games. That's what I'm looking for. And I think for them, they had that sweet spot because they were cheap. It was not hard for me to think. Like, the second console I got after my PlayStation was my Switch. And it's not something I go to every day. It's not something I even play every week. But it's like, hey, I feel like playing a Nintendo game. Or, hey, I want to play a game with my kid. And I'm going to go to Nintendo. But at this point, it makes me, as a parent even, like if I'm buying a console, like, why wouldn't I buy a PS5 over a Switch, right? Especially if the games aren't going to be more expensive. And I know we're going to talk about that in a second. But for me, it's, it used to be cheap enough that it was a no-brainer. Come Christmas time, I'm looking at, like, few parents are going to have $600 to buy their kid a console, let alone if they have two kids, right? Like, with the Switch, it was like $250 for a Switch Lite. Like, it's not nothing, but it's a lot easier to justify yourself as a parent. Like, it's $200, $250. But now at $600, it is now a conscious decision that you as a family are like, hey, is this what we want to? Is this the console that our family wants? And I think a lot of people at this point are now going to be considering one for one a Switch to a PlayStation. And I think that in that comparison, Switch isn't going to do well, right? Like,
I do. I actually totally agree.
Like, I think if I was Nintendo, what I would have done like hey, here's the Switch 2. It's more of the same. Like, you're getting 1080p. You're getting basically the specs that were offered in the handheld, right? Like, forget about the boosting dock. Just, hey, here's the console and you can hook it up and it'll play on your TV. If that's good enough for you, awesome. We also have a upscaling dock. If you want, you can purchase this dock for an additional $150, $200, and you're getting you're getting 4K, 60 frames. Awesome. But like, I look at Mario Kart World and it looks good, but I don't see it as like a holy, like, this is the next generation. It's just like, yeah, it's a pretty cartoon game. Like, the aesthetics of Nintendo don't require 4K 60 frames per second
Mhm.
display, right? Like they always went for aesthetic over resolution. For Sony, yeah, like you're going for lifelike realistic. You need that power, but that's never been that. Are we gonna get a Legend of Zelda that has like photorealistic graphics? No. So why would I care if I have that super high resolution? And then I just look at like a lot of the peripherals, like the gimmicks that they have, like the mouse in the Joy-Con. Like I don't ever see myself wanting to play Switch with a mouse. Like if I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna go get a PC.
Yeah.
Right? So I think like I understand why it costs this much, but I think they made some decisions that were like they made the wrong decisions and they forgot who their audience was and what their market value was in this situation. So for me, like I get it, like sure you can justify that price, but I don't think it was the right call. I think you made a mistake.
I do agree with that. I do think that I obviously had my rant about understanding where the price is. I do think that as a business decision, they have decided to try and almost compete more with the PC handheld market or the PS5. And I think that is a completely mistake because they were more of the kid-friendly family console that a lot of people picked up because it was an easy Christmas gift. And I don't think it will be anymore.
Yeah, like I mean, not everyone, but like you'd have like for like if you had like nieces and nephews, like yeah, $200 for a Switch, like you're the coolest aunt or uncle now. Now you're not dropping $600 on kids because they're gonna go break it, right? Like,
yeah,
my kid's rough with the Switch, but at this point, like, I don't know if I'm going to make the jump to a Switch right away because I still have a huge backlog of Nintendo games, which I'm hoping are going to get cheaper now that the Switch 2 is out. And I'm also hoping that like I'm going to just play that because for him, he doesn't care yet. He doesn't care, and if he wants to play the super high-end game, we'll go play on the PS5. Like, who is clamoring to play Elden Ring on the Switch?
I feel like if you would have had already bought something like a Steam Deck or something to play Elden Ring there.
Right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, Nintendo, we always used to laugh and joke, but it worked for them, that they were their own little island. They didn't care what the rest of the industry was doing. They had carved out their own little garden, and they were playing there, and they were happy, and I think they're now coming into this space, and I think, unfortunately, they're going to get kind of dunked on.
So,
or not, who knows? I always make the wrong call.
I wasn't anticipating this conversation because I was going to immediately go back into the price stuff, but I'll actually put my 2 thoughts in here. I'm not saying this is correct, and I'm not saying this is the right call. I think this is what they're doing. Look at what happened with the Wii U. They tried to sell a similar product again, and it flunked spectacularly. I think Nintendo might be looking at the Switch and going, we've already got those people. They're not coming back. So why don't we shift and use this console to now go after the market with, you know, a more emphasis on the tech, where we look at more people that are in their 20s that want to, now that they're older, they want to have something that's more akin to being able to play up-to-date games. And especially, like you just talked about Elden Ring. I initially, when they announced it, went, who the fuck is going to play that? And the more I thought about it, especially with them having the Dustbloods, which is a specific game for them that From Software is making, I think they're pushing to a 20 to 35 audience that they've gotten from the past generation, and you trying to have them as their island for this one, because I think that they might actually think that no family is coming back for another round because they've already gotten it. I think in the same way that the Wii did so well and then no one cared about the next one is because the average casual family is not looking to invest that often. So I think they're banking on either a crowd of people that grew up with the Switch, now old enough with their own income to look into this, to go this route, because now it's, as people have asked for, as Chris said at the beginning, they want a bigger, better, badder Switch, because they don't want a console that is literally obsolete the second it's out, and they're not going to be able to play anything that's coming out recently. Like, they're getting, what was Borderlands 4. They're getting a game that's going to release at the same time, which Switch genuinely never does anymore. So I don't think it's correct either. I think that is a bit of a misstep, but I think their logic is they're not going to sell nearly as well anyway because most of those people aren't coming back again. So why don't we take a test, really take a hammer at trying to compete with Steam Deck now and see how that goes. It probably won't work, but I think that's kind of the vibe they're getting.
I see where you're going, and the only like the counter argument I have to that is that if that's the case, then Nintendo has to really look at what they're doing with their first parties, because the two big first parties that, like the two first party games that we saw, well, three, was a Mario Kart game, which is
which will
good,
do
but
extremely well because they generally sell the best out of a lot of things.
Will, yeah, but once again, not that $20 to $30 demographic. The second one is like the basketball wheelchair game, which is a gimmick.
If you think that's one of their big things, it's not going to be.
No, I'm not. I'm saving my big one, but like the games that Nintendo was doing, like there's nothing there that screams, "Hey, this is for the 20 to 30-year-old demographic." Like, because the two big titles they have are Donkey Kong, an open world platformer, and Mario Kart, which are still very much family games. Like, there was nothing on there.
Yeah, but those, like Mario Kart, again, like you don't sell 30 million copies of a game and no one like over the age of 18 is like, come on, like that's everybody's gonna.
No, I don't. You can put Mario Kart aside. I will concede that, but like the other big one you have is Donkey Kong 3D World.
I think that'll still do numbers. Also, Metroid Prime will be, I don't know if it's launch or if it's like very close by. That will also get attention too. And like I said, because they're pivoting to also add some more, like not first party, obviously, but adding some more exclusives like the Dust Bloods is to, I think their idea is that to take away some, because again, the complaint that I've always had for Switch is you literally have 3 games a year and that's all you get. I think what they want to do is try to find a balance where it's a bit of both. And like I said, it might not work for them now that they're trying to essentially like sort of compete with everybody else. It may not work that way, but I think their logic is we can't just have another Switch because most of those people aren't coming back anyway. We need to find something to get other outside people that normally wouldn't look our way in the door as well. I think that's kind of the logic they're taking. Whether it's right or not is obviously something we'll have to see later. And again, like I said, even when we were talking about the Switch initially, it's going to depend on how the library looks in 3 years because eventually PS6 is going to happen. And what happens when developers are making games that are more tailored for that level of graphic fidelity or processing power, I guess. We don't know how much more graphical it's going to get, but
yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure they're also like worried, what if they had put out something and it is weaker than the handhelds that are already been out for 3 years?
If they put out a new console and it's a PS4 Pro, like people are gonna like literally laugh it out.
Yeah, I think there's that. And
I think it's a damn if they do, damn if they don't situation at this point.
I think that also one other thing, this could be like, now I'm just doing conspiracy theory here, but when you think about it, most families, and I'm talking like non-gamer dad and mom families, so like my sister with my nephew, she already told me, do not mention the Switch 2 to my son. Me and him play Switch together. It's like, do not let him know that exists. Which is funny because he's going to find out like literally the first day at school, but whatever. But he has a Switch Lite because, of course, Kaylan, as you're saying, like that's kind of what you get the kids. They're rough with them. He's 9 now, but he's had the thing for a few years or a couple years. He was 6 or 7 or whatever when he started playing the thing. Those parents aren't going to buy a Switch yet, right? Like they're like, we have Switch at home. It's literally that meme that we've been living for 30 something years. You don't need the new Xbox. We have Nintendo at home. They're literally going to be like, you don't need the Switch. We have a Switch. And it's like, no, it's the new one, blah, blah, blah. They're not going to hop on that train yet. Like, they're not going to go now. They're going to wait it out. Whether it's $350 or it is $650 or whatever.
The road when, like, 3 years later, when they put out a cheaper model where it's, just the portable side of it, like the Switch Lite is, like.
That's what I'm thinking. Because if you think about it, when do a lot of families go in? Like I know my buddy, he got his kid's Switch after it had been out for a couple of years. My sister with my nephew, after it had been out for a few years. Even my wife, who's very low on the gamer scale, but just wanted to play the odd few things like puzzles and whatever, she has a Switch Lite. And it was like, it doesn't make sense to buy this $400 or $200, the $300 item, whatever it may be, regardless. So they weren't going to jump on this first one. So Nintendo puts this out. This is for the like enthusiasts. This is for the gamers. This is for the people who are waiting for new tech. They buy this, they use it. And then when the other parents are probably ready to hop on, because now the Switch is 10 years old, their kids are like, I still have the Switch. I want the Switch too. Now these kids have all this FOMO. The parents aren't willing to hop on it. And then, Savior Jesus Nintendo comes down and has here is the $300 Switch Lite 2 or whatever it is. The thing is only 60 FPS or hertz or whatever. Maybe it is still 1080p, but at that point the screen will be a lot cheaper. It's much smaller. It's just this plastic thing, no detachable Joy-Cons, all that. Same thing they did with the Switch Lite. And all of a sudden they're like, hey, here's a $300 Switch 2 that you can have now for your kids. It's been a couple years. The parents are willing to finally hop in there. Nintendo saw like the steady like Switch 2 sales, and then boom, that's when finally they get the parents and the kids.
And they'll get them back in the games anyway, because Lord knows they never price those things down.
Yeah, because if you have this thing kids want, but it's out of reach for 2 years, and the kids are complaining every Christmas, but it's still $630 Canadian, and then all of a sudden in Canadian dollars, there's a $300 item. 2 years later, same thing. They can finally play the games, and the kids will shut up. Tons of parents will finally hop on that. So maybe it's just a strategy for the first year or two, where they're like, yeah, like Adam, you're saying, most people aren't going to hop on anyways. Let's get the enthusiasts. It also even
makes sense if you go with that theory, because you pull the hardcore in now before the new consoles for PlayStation and Xbox come into play again, and you now have them for the next couple of years while you figure out what your strategy is for the families again.
Exactly, because when are we going to hop out of playing Switch as much? When PS6 and the Xbox...
When they're $2,000.
When the Xbox 2 comes out, or whatever the hell they're going to call that thing, and yeah, they'll be expensive as hell. But that's when we're going to be like, oh, Switch, yeah, you're old. We want to go play the new thing. Then they're like, all right, we dealt with that market. Now they're out. They're not spending as much money. Family market. Hi, we're Nintendo. Here's a $300 item. Yeah. Now you're our market. Like, maybe it's just a strategy. I don't know.
It could be. And I mean... And I guess it goes to our other conversation. We spent a lot longer than the consoles than I think we were expecting to.
100%.
Obviously, the games are going to get a $10 boost, and a lot of people have thoughts about that too. I think we're all kind of in the same view, where it's like we knew this was happening for a while now, and it was just a matter of who was going to go first. Because like, there's been the whole thing about GTA potentially being $100.
Yes, GTA. Oh, GTA. Oh,
so like 100%. We've been dreading the 10% bump for a while now, and so I'll say this because I haven't had my big rant.
Go for it.
I get it, guys. I get it. Like, a lot of people are pissed. They don't like the idea the games are going up again. They think it's bullshit. Here's the thing, and I know you don't want to hear this. We're still getting a deal if they put a $10 up on it based on inflation. Games during the N64 and SNES era were $69.99. With inflation, we were paying like $100 for games back then. So we've had it good for a while. I don't like it though. And here's the thing. Like, I understand wholeheartedly that this price hike is bullshit, because it's like, we know that this isn't being made because they're all of a sudden be like, oh, we can do that now because inflation says X. No, it's greed. We know. Like, we're not stupid. We know. It's why most of us don't buy games at full price anymore. It's why most of us basically just either play indie now or wait for half off sales or whatever else. The reason why I get people's pain, and I'm trying not to be a dick about it, because I'm kind of like, okay, y'all are bitching for no reason, really. Like, these are fair price when you really think about it. But I get it because, well, let's be honest, everything else in the world is so overpriced now too that you can't do everything. And
everything's overpriced this world except my labor.
Yeah. Like, so the thing that I want to say to people that are listening, look, I get it if you're frustrated, but to point the finger at Nintendo or to point the finger at any game company and say like, oh, fuck them for doing this. No, point the finger at your government, point the finger at your employer, point the finger at the billionaires that are really the reason that everything else around us is so expensive that you're not being able to justify an extra $10. Like, we're actually been paying a really good price for games for a long time, but it hurts now because our bottom dollar hurts now. If we were getting paid what we're actually supposed to be getting paid, I don't think we'd be worrying about it. For the same reason that we're getting pissed off that every streaming service is raising their prices, the same reason that every other thing that, like, our groceries are going up, our rent's going up, everything is going up. And the one thing that isn't going up is the money that's coming into us every month. So, like, every time a price hike happens, people get pissed. I don't want people to get the idea that this is the games industry being greedy. I think this is just capitalism as in a nutshell. So, I get it, but at the same time, I think people need to go and point their directions differently, because pointing the direction at, or pointing the finger at Nintendo for raising games $10 is not going to solve your life right now, because that is about 0.001% of the things that are actually putting you in trouble at this point. But I get it. I don't like the price hike if this is now a thing across the board for everybody. But you know what that also means for me? I don't fucking buy it full price. Or we don't say where, but Yarmady Plus is a very good subscription for people, if you know what I mean.
I think this is unfortunately a situation. Like, I disagree with the price hike for this, and I'll get into it in a second. But I think Nintendo.
I don't think any of us agree with hiking prices, but
no. But I I don't think it's fair with Nintendo, and I'll get to it in a second. But I think one of the problems that Nintendo had is Nintendo could not have probably picked a worse day this year.
That is the one thing you can't justify, is the timing of.
They announced a console, and with a price increase on games the day that Donald Trump comes out with a bunch of tariffs and the market basically melts down.
Like this, it feels like the kind of thing that they could have waited, I don't know, like 6 months to do.
I don't think it would have been good either way. Like,
no, but it wouldn't have been nearly as bad.
Yeah, like, there's no good time to announce it, but there's definitely a worse time, and I think this was the worst time. And that
this was the worst.
Markets are melting down. We're all worried about. I mean,
look at all the comments to any like Reddit thread or Facebook post or X post or whatever, like YouTube video about the hike, or about even like the pre-orders being taken away because of the tariffs. Like, people do not want to fucking hear about prices right now.
Yeah, so but Nintendo had no idea like Trump was going to do this when they decided to do this presentation months ago. Like,
also, generally Japan doesn't really give a shit about what's going on in the West anyway. So
I think they do now.
Well, they do now.
Like, guys.
But anyways, so like, I think like it's a situation of circumstance. You pick the bad day to announce, hey, we're raising prices. I do have a problem though with Nintendo raising the prices. Like, if you said to me, hey, PlayStation's increasing the prices, Xbox is increasing the prices, cool. I have no problem with that. I have a problem though with Nintendo doing it, and here's why. Nintendo is the only company that does not, and PlayStation's getting into this realm, but Nintendo is the only one that does not do significant discounts on their games. If you want to go and buy Mario Odyssey today, it is the same price it was when it launched, 7-8 years ago? Yeah. So I have for me, Nintendo is the one company that does not have a leg to stand on that says, hey, making video games is more expensive, because you're making continual revenue on that game, and they're making the same margin, the same revenue every time, regardless of when it sells. PlayStation, I get it. You want to charge $90 for a game? Go for it. If it's not a game I'm interested in, I will wait until there's a 40, 50, 60% discount. But Nintendo doesn't do that.
Yeah, Nintendo, if you're lucky, you see $15 knocked off it.
Yeah, and so my problem with Nintendo is you make your money in the long. You're making your money in the long game. PlayStation makes their money in the short game, and that's why they charge the price that they do, because that's when they need to make their money. Nintendo, though, you are making money all the console life, and so for you to come out and be like, we need to charge more for this, I disagree. Unless your pricing strategy is now changing, where you're going to say, hey, it is going to be one of those, you buy high at first and it goes down in price. Cool.
If Mario Kart is like $40 at some point in our history, that'll be the point that we're like, okay.
Yeah, like if it's a gradual thing where, hey, we get our money up front and then we kind of live off, like that's where we make the bread and butter, cool. But that's not how Nintendo operates.
Yeah, I think we're willing to bet that, like, if a game, like, let's say here it's $89.99 or even $99.99, what do you think the odds are that we're ever gonna see it below 60?
That's the thing. Like, even for me, like, I don't buy Nintendo games, or I'm thinking of the games that I've bought for Nintendo, and very few of them have I bought directly from Nintendo, because I just buy it off the secondhand market, because that's, for me, the only way I can justify that price. So yeah, I think Nintendo is the one company where I don't think it's fair for them to be like, we need to raise prices because of costs or value or whatever. Like, your games retain their value regardless, and so you don't need to increase the price at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be the person once again to be like, yeah, Nintendo is the company that does not give a fuck about its consumer base, because they know you'll pay.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're all Canadians here. Nintendo is the Toronto Maple Leafs of the gaming industry, where they go, no, you're going to pay $500 just to get in the fucking door. Deal with it.
We had that one good console a long time ago. Remember that? Buy up.
Yeah, 1967. Yeah, thanks. Fucking shit.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing too. Like, Nintendo knows exactly what they're doing because they know. Yes, I'm actually willing to say they know what they're doing because they know that the people they're going to attract are going to show up. And even if they don't get as many as they could, it's a case of they know which ones they get. They know that they're going to stay loyal because they will always be loyal no matter what they do. And the reality is, too, is they don't care if they jack up the price and what timing it is. It's a stupid time to do it, but they know that it's not going to matter because really at the end of the day, you're going to want to play Mario Kart. So you're going to spend $90 for it. And if you don't, well, guess you're just going to have to watch everybody else play it without them. You know, that's up to you. Is that what you want? And in a nutshell, just Nintendo has just repeatedly shown that they don't care. They will make decisions based on what they think is best for their business. And, you know, it's just a case of, well, your choice is you do or you don't.
Yeah.
Your move.
I think Nintendo also has... They don't always know what they're doing. They do sometimes make mistakes, but they are probably the best video game company, I'd say, that is good at pivoting and fixing their mistake. Because if you take the Nintendo 3DS, the thing launched at $250 way back in like 2011, which was astounding for a Nintendo handheld. It should have been like $199, blah, 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 blah. It was $249. It wasn't selling as much. So they announced that they were going to lower the price. It was only going to be $199 going forward. And anybody who did buy it at the $250, you're considered like a legacy customer. And they gave a whole bunch of free shit to those people. I was one of them. It was like, looking back, it's like not as much, but it was like 30 different like virtual console titles that are normally like $5 each, stuff like that. Which back then you could actually buy the game individually and all that kind of stuff. They gave a whole bunch of stuff. Then you get the Wii U that launches. That is clearly not the console that's working. They gave it a little bit of a go, wasn't going well. And instead of just being like, yeah, okay, never mind, we're going to drop whatever, they pivoted and they were like, this isn't working. We need to go and make our next console called the Switch. And we need to start taking some of the stuff that was working with the Wii U, bring it there. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or whatever is like the best-selling Nintendo game or something of all frickin' time. That's a Wii U game. That they took something they'd already made and were like, this isn't working, but we can make this one of the best-selling games of all time. If we put it somewhere, people will play it. Again, fixed it, right? Like, they are that company that they do try shit. The Virtual Boy exists. Let's not forget that. And when it doesn't work, they know how to pivot and do something else instead will work.
And that's what I mean, right? Is they're going to go, here's what you're going to get, eat it, take it, and then as soon as it gets to a point where they go, okay, they stopped eating it, I guess we should do something.
Yeah.
But like they're always Switch. The company that will go, no, this is what we're doing, and if you don't like it, tough shit for the next like year or so or however long.
I think it was that the Nintendo Switch was seeing like some of their first party titles that weren't getting the sales they were hoping and stuff. And it really was, of course, they aren't ever on sale. Nintendo, instead of being like, all right, we're going to put stuff on sale, came out with those Switch vouchers that if you're a Switch Online member, you buy this voucher, it's a set price, and it is a voucher for any 2 games in this list. And basically the list was all their first-party titles, the odd third-party, but it was mostly about first-party. That's how I bought every Nintendo Switch game, because it was kind of like buy one Switch game. The second one was almost like $30, $40 off. When you bought it, it was like I think it was like $130 or something to buy the voucher. But again, the games were like $80 to begin with. So all of a sudden, you're buying these expensive games and getting $30 off right from using this voucher system, right? Now, did you have to be a Switch Online member? Yes. So they're still getting money from you that way, that kind of stuff. But again, they saw sales weren't as good and they pivoted and gave you something, which if it's a great deal or not, no, normal Sony sales are still much better when you can get God of War whatever 2016 or 2018 for like $20, right? Way better deal. But Nintendo also has that way of showing you something that's like a way better deal than what they currently offer. Still not a great deal, but because it's better, boom, you'll go and buy it that way.
We hate you, but we're going to pretend we like you for a moment just to keep you from leaving.
Yeah. I do think that the price is up on Nintendo games, Kaylan. I do agree with you that it's a bad move on Nintendo's part for multiple reasons. I don't think it's like them being like, haha, we are going to gouge these people because we could sell this for $59.99, but we're going to do this because blah, blah. No, I'm sure their research and development and all that kind of stuff, they're like, crap, if we actually really want to make a decent profit back, like we got to raise our prices kind of deal. But I do think that, then they have to start doing something else. They got to become more like Sony. They got to become more like Xbox. If they want this new pricing to work, they have to do you'll get the enthusiasts, but the average person is not dropping $100 on Mario Kart.
Yeah, like I can't go to EB because I went to EB Games the other day. I cannot go to EB Games and look at a copy of Coffee Talk Part 2 on the Switch for $50. That cannot happen.
Yeah.
I don't care that it's physical.
Exactly.
Can't happen. So they've got to find a balance. And if it's going to be, our first party games are going to be $90, well, I guess that means all the other things are $90. If that's what they are, then it's just going to be another case of people are just going to sit back and wait.
Yeah, and they won't bite. There'll be the enthusiasts, but they won't bite. I know me, I'd buy like the one game, I'd probably get Mario Kart, but then the other games that come out after that, like I'd normally have bought most of the games, again, using a voucher or some sort of something, but I would have eventually got them, where if they're like $100, it's like, all right, I'll get one game, but normally I would have bought 3, and I'm only going to get now the one at this price point, and I'm done. Like, here's
the question: are you going to drop $650 on a console so you can buy one game?
No, of course not. No.
Like, this is the thing, and this is where I'm going to kind of leave it here because I get going. But like, for me, it's like the Switch 2 is releasing into an environment that is different from where the Switch 1. When Switch 1 was released, handheld gaming was pretty much dead, right? The idea of being able to bring your like AAA games, your first party games, and play mobile was pretty unheard of, with the exception of your mobile phone. And that was, I think, the appeal partially of the Switch, is I can now bring my gaming anywhere. We now have that with the PlayStation Portal. We now have that with the Steam Deck. We now have that with like the Rogue Ally. We have that even with, Xbox streaming on your phone. Like, we have portable gaming now, that it's not as much of a niche offering as it was back in, early, 2014, 2015? I don't remember when it launched, but 2016. It's not as niche as it was, and there's others who are doing it, and they're doing it for the same price. And in some cases, they're doing it better. They're offering a better value. And I'm just curious to see where Nintendo lands with this new console.
Yeah,
because there's not a lot of excitement of what it's offering. The thing it's riding on the nostalgia and the name of Nintendo.
I was about to say, Nintendo is kind of gaming's Apple.
100%.
So that people are just going to buy it because it's Nintendo. So, we'll see. Do I think that as it currently stands, it's a good business decision? I don't think so, but I think that they're obviously got teams that have way more business acumen than I ever could, and I'm just kind of going off vibes. But look, we all kind of agree that the pricing kind of makes sense, but at the same time, as consumers, we don't really want to hear that right now. So it's kind of like the give and take. Look, I don't have a problem with games being $90, but it just means that my businesses or my purchasing decisions change. That's what it really means in the end. And for some people, it might be fine. For some people, it might not. And that's going to be up to each individual person. I know Kaylan, Chris, all you and I are going to have different ideas of what that line is. For us, for Chris, I know you're the biggest sucker, so you'll probably just get it as soon as possible anyway. Kaylan will just do it when he finally has finished his other 4 games that it's taken him 17 months to get around to, so he'll just kind of get it when he can. And then me, I'll just be I'll just sit in the background and be, maybe I'll get it.
Yeah. I think we all kind of agree that we understand why the price is like this. We don't like that the price is like this. It's going to change our purchasing habits for sure, whether we like it or not. And as a business decision as Nintendo, I think the 3 of us can all agree, unless there's, again, that weird conspiracy I had behind the scenes where it's oh no, you get the enthusiasts for 2 years, then you have a much cheaper product and you get all the families. It's just not a great business decision. I think we can all kind of agree with that.
Yeah,
especially the pricing.
We get it, we just don't care.
Yeah.
I think that sums it up pretty well, actually.
Yay, Nintendo.
It's that's awesome, guys. We're happy for you. Still don't care.
There you go.
Well, with that being said, I guess that's going to do it. I think we've made all of our points here. So what do you guys think? So obviously, if you are able to comment, obviously if you're watching on YouTube here, leave a comment below. Speaking of which, like and subscribe on YouTube, and the link tree you'll see there at the bottom of your screen. For those listening on audio platforms, obviously, you know the drill. You can like it, or I guess, well, I don't know what systems do what anymore. I don't listen to any podcasts on audio these days. But if you can give it a rating, share it, obviously. Linktree, linktr.ee/PixelPlay Podcast. Link to our Discord, link to our socials. Really link to the Discord, but hey, you know, you get all that jazz. Every Wednesdays at noon is the main show. Fridays at noon are the side quests. Chris and I this Friday are going over a couple of N64 games that we think need to be remade. Hey, there's the good Nintendo segue at that point, so look forward to that. But other than that, we shall see what happens in the next week. God only knows whatever else could be happening here, but we will see. So thank you so much for checking out this week's episode. We will see you on the next one. So take care. Bye-bye for now.